Hello everyone. So today let's talk about Uruz and Emotional Intelligence. So Uruz is a rune that I'm very close to. It's part of the Elder Futhark alphabet. But this alphabet is not just an alphabet of ideas, though it is that as well. Or most definitely not just an alphabet for spelling things out, but an a spiritual system, a system of spirits, primordial spirits that we can contact, that we can manifest, that we can bring into our lives by appealing to them. They are spirits in and of themselves. So, emotional intelligence in regards to Urus. I guess we should start with the Arak. So, the Arak, that northwestern European peoples hunted to extinction, was very much like a buffalo or even cattle that we find nowadays, but more like a buffalo. Very tall, but had very similar natures. So there's certain things that a herd does when it's a group to perpetuate and maintain its survival. The strongest will often lead the herd or be on the outskirts of the herd, and the smallest and the weakest will be on the interior of the herd. The strongest will also care for the weaker ones. And aurochs in particular, they, and plenty of other animals like them, and even goats and sheep, they will huddle together for warmth. Now, we don't usually think that these things can be translated into a human experience because we don't have a herd mentality per se, but there's certain things that you can learn from nature that don't necessarily have to be just the experience of an animal. But these animals' experiences can give us intelligence for our own lives. So it's good in a society for someone to, or a group, for the stronger ones to take care of the weaker ones. You know, it goes into fathers and mothers caring for their children, but also people who are more, either physically or emotionally strong, caring for those who need it when they need it. And physical strength and emotional strength don't necessarily correlate. They're not necessarily the same thing, and they don't necessarily mean that just because somebody's physically strong or emotionally strong, that they are the other one. This is one thing about animals that's very interesting that I think that we can learn from them is that they know how to let things out. They know how to feel, and they know how to love completely without language. They have to rely upon emotional intelligence, something that we wouldn't factor into IQ or the cognitive intelligence of a human being. When two buffalo, for instance, are mated and they want to bond, they might place their heads together. Now, the third eye, I'm not sure that the animals are aware of this completely, but they do know the action that will bond with another animal. They're placing their third eyes against each other and truly gazing into each other's feelings, emotions. They don't have to use their eyes. They're using their third eye to communicate love, compassion, emotion. That's another reason why if we meditate like this, close our eyes, and kind of cover up our third eye, and we sitting in meditation posture, and we have our hand on the other knee, but we meditate like this, we're reflecting our third eye back into ourselves and communicating and feeling self-love when we meditate like that, covering the third eye, eyes closed or half open, depending on how you want to meditate. But we're projecting the perception outwardly, inwardly, and moving that self-love that comes out, or the love that comes out of the third eye, back into ourselves. And that's one way to meditate. But animals naturally put their heads against each other. They're driven to do that because it's a communication of love. It's not just touch, though touch is a huge thing. If you have cats and dogs, and if you've interacted with animals, touch is a huge thing because they don't have language. They don't have cognitive intelligence the same way we do, but they have a very large degree of emotional intelligence, and that's exactly what they have to rely upon. And when it comes to, like cows, they'll constantly lick baby cows. Or I've even seen some videos where like a dog has cow spotting, like general like color, and the mother cows just keep on licking it. It's a communication of love. We don't clean our babies with our tongue. Human beings don't do that, but that's how they communicate love, because they're feeling like they're grooming and they're taking care of that small one. We can also communicate love by rocking a baby, or even rocking each other and making, holding each other close to ourselves. It's touch is very important in this reciprocal thing that we call emotional intelligence. Now, there's other ways that you can be emotionally intelligent towards yourself. So, if we look at the animal model, something like a auroch or a buffalo, like I said, they get together for warmth and safety. Sometimes when we've encountered something in the world, we need to bring in the different parts of ourselves and huddle these pieces of ourselves for both safety and compassionate warmth towards ourselves. How do I explain this? So, there's a lot of things that we project to the world. Strengths, what we want to be identified with. Not necessarily the trauma, not necessarily the pain that we hide away. And here's a thing that also ties into the herd thing, animal thing. Now, if we hide away all of our trauma, we should protect ourselves when we really need it by using the strong parts of ourselves to put a barrier between us and somebody who would try to use us, hurt us in any way, shape, or fashion. But sometimes these little parts of us that we're hiding away, the trauma, the pain, the agony, the emotional turmoil, we get so used to hiding it away with other different parts of ourselves, or even silence itself, that those parts of ourselves never become more developed. It's almost like if the herd kept a calf inside of itself and didn't let the calf go out and graze and even maybe be in danger or communicate with the world, be out there on the external part of ourselves. If they didn't do that, the calf would eventually die. It couldn't graze, it couldn't see the world, it'd become depressed. So the parts of ourselves, the trauma, the mental pain, the sadness, we need to find people that we can do this with, where we can put that on the outside of ourselves and share that trauma, share that sadness, share that pain with others, so that it becomes a more developed part of ourselves. And it's not just hidden away in the womb forever, because that's a recipe for disaster. If we were to hide away everything that we don't want to admit to ourselves, or that we don't want the world to see, that's a recipe for having pieces of ourselves that never really develop, never really work through themselves. Because, for instance, we can be positive all day, but unless we acknowledge that there's a problem, the problem doesn't go away because we try to be positive or optimistic. We have to bring it out, discuss it with people. We have to find somebody or a group that we can really talk about our pain with, so that that little calf can be exposed to the world and grow into a more developed part of ourselves. This is emotional intelligence. This is the emotional intelligence that herd animals, and I hate calling them animals because I feel like they're just beings as well. I feel like animal is too derogatory. I don't know if I'm being too liberal there, but mothers know, and even fathers know in herds and among the aurochs, when to let the calves out, give them more free range. We have to know when to let those parts of ourselves out too. But primordial strength that the auroch represents and is, it's more than just like physical strength. I want to make that very clear. It's more than just even like pushing through a problem. In order to be strong in every way, we have to be emotionally strong, and we have to know how to get there. And that's exposing those parts of ourselves that are hidden. But also able to really feel the strength that we have within and utilize it. Because there's so much strength within every single person. People just don't know how to think their way into it or utilize it magically or spiritually. Dive into that reservoir. And there's a number of spiritual practices that can do this. But I think that Uruz is a misunderstood rune in the sense that people dismiss it because they think it's just like brute strength, or, animals just have brute strength. They don't have, emotional strength or anything like that. But animals have a higher degree of emotional strength and emotional understanding and expression than I think most humans do. Because they can't rely on the cognition, they have to rely on the emotional intelligence. At any rate, this video is coming to an end, but if any of this was very interesting, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video at all, hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. And feel free to contact me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar, HUNTER.SALAZAR. Understand that strength doesn't exist just for the muscles. In fact, most of your strength does not exist in the muscles. It is in every part of your being, in your emotional understanding, and your spiritual experience. Thank you very much, and I want all of you to have a wonderful day.